Hello, welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 332. You see what I did there? I started instantly, so no one could cut in.
I'll give you almost instantly.
Well, I started soon enough so no one could butt in and ruin my intro.
Matt can just fuck around with it in post anyways.
So what you're saying
true.
is that next time you want us to just immediately start screaming after the
I
sync.
suppose I shouldn't have told you my plan there. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. That's Tim Spence.
Hello.
Foiling me. Matt Lawrence.
That's me.
And Adrian Petty.
Hi.
How you guys all doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Thank you. Some of the top stories this week include Marvel's Avengers apparently failing to bring back users despite their new hero and content update.
No.
Microsoft is in talks to buy Discord. Also, they've rebranded Xbox Live to the Xbox Network, lowercase n. Back for Blood delayed to October 12th. And Sony and PlayStation Productions are developing a Ghost of Tsushima movie with the John Wick director. So that'll be interesting. What's new with you guys? Anyone got any exciting new things they're doing? New games they're playing?
Nothing overly new. I mean, I played a game called Last Oasis for the first time today. I played with a friend who was hired by the developers to advertise for it. So that was cool. It was cool. It was an interesting experience. I can't believe I'd never heard of the game before. It's kind of a survival crafting MMO style game, and the premise is that the Earth's rotation has slowed to the point that one day takes what we would consider a year. And because the planet is just getting blasted by the sun for a full year, it just like roasts that side of the planet, whatever's facing the sun. So as it's slowly rotating, people can't really exist in one spot, and they have to keep traveling to the east. So in real time, every couple of weeks, zones of the game map will get destroyed, and you have to keep going towards the east. And you have to gather resources in order to make that journey to the east, all the while trying not to die to other players, because PvP is a significant portion of it as well. And building basically like sand striders, so just like vehicles that have wooden mechanical legs that kind of let you zip all around the maps. And it's a pretty cool premise.
Fun fact, the zone between the day and night side of a planet is called the Terminator.
The Terminator?
Yeah.
Cool.
The more you know.
And then
What's the game called? I'll actually look it up here.
It's called Last Oasis. And it's just entered its third season as of today, which is the 26th of March.
how long is this? How long is the season?
I guess about 4 months, because maybe 6 months, because it's entering season 3 and the game came out a year ago today.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Do you have to so it like the planet's rotating, whatever, but it's like, is the resources of the planet never regenerating? So is the planet season over season losing resources? Because obviously it's the same planet rotating and getting roasted. Or is it not that like are you getting more like every season you as the players are getting more and more desperate for stuff? Is that what's going on? Or
No, I don't think so. I think it's like whatever dark side the planet has at that given time is when stuff is growing, I suppose, even though that probably doesn't make much sense. And then by the time it gets around to the sun again, it's like, oh, you've made a full revolution around the planet, I guess. I don't know. They did show like a shot of this like fictional Earth from space, and it's not exactly the same. Like there's much larger land masses, but there were still like a significant number of or a significant amount of ocean cover on the whole planet. So I don't know if eventually they're going to get to a point where like you start getting to the coast and then you start having to make boats or something.
mm-hmm.
Oh, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but the whole premise of the game basically is like to just make these bigger and bigger like walking vehicles that you can like build on, and you like respawn on them, and you can attach like different components and weapons and things like that to them. So you can like put a grappling hook on the back of one, and then you can spear like crates as you're like running through the desert, and then pulling the crates along does damage to them, and then that splits them open, and you can get the resources that are inside and stuff like that. And you also get a grappling hook. The game kind of ends up being a little bit like Spider-Man, as long as you have enough stamina, which is like really cool. I was just messing around a lot with the grappling hook and like navigating these like rocky chasms and stuff. It's super interesting. I think it's got a lot of potential, and it's just weird because like I'm typically big into these like indie sort of survival crafting games, and I was surprised to have never like seen anything on it before. But yeah, pleasant surprise. It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool sci-fi concept too. I don't think I've ever kind of heard about that before.
Yeah, it's always just like, oh, there was an apocalypse and now the world is rebuilding. It's like,
yeah,
there was an apocalypse, but it's almost like an apocalypse in real time kind of thing. Like it's still happening and people are still like trying not to get wiped out by it.
Yeah.
Because games always do the like hard reset and then, oh, you're one of the first new modern humans and you must, you know, start to gather and craft things and start to build all the way back up to the modern age again or something like that. But this one's sort of like almost like the planet is in its death throes and you're trying to just like not get wiped out.
Yeah
It's different.
I think indie developers specifically are kind of bringing back that genre. Not that it went anywhere, but it kind of like blew up. And there's so many of those, like, oh, it's the apocalypse, or oh, you're stranded in a forest, or oh, you're in the mountains, like just like environment now, play in the environment and craft and gather. Whereas like indie games brought that into the market a lot. Like obviously it was in the market before, but like they flooded the market and almost killed it, and now they're bringing it back with like innovations on that same thing. So that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, you would see like, oh, it's survival crafting, but this time it's on the ocean, or this time it's in the sky, or this time it's in a desert, or, you know, this time it's in a forest. But never really like changing up anything too significantly, because I guess they're like, oh, the survival crafting, you know, rinse and repeat type of gameplay is popular. The only thing that we want to do differently is the location or something like that. So yeah, it's cool to see somebody do a different take on it that is different enough that like it could go either way. Like it could crash and burn, or it could be really popular. And it seemed like, I mean, when I was playing today, I think the player count was around 4,000 people at any given time, which for like an indie MMO is like pretty damn good.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Is that more than Avengers?
Oh man, maybe.
I believe that average of 4,000 players is more than the player count total for Avengers.
Oh, come on.
I remember looking it was probably like just before New Year. I remember looking at the daily average for Avengers on Steam. It was like in the 900s. It was like 920 people.
That's brutal. That's brutal. Anyway, that's our first story. So we'll talk a bit about that later. Matt, what's new with you?
I have, well, this week was hell. I did 2 16-hour shifts and a 14-hour shift, pretty much at work. I am the owner of my own business, and like I had just had to get shit done.
Matt, what happened? Tell us about your week, Matt.
What? I just had like everything come to a head this week, all the deadlines, everything. So I didn't get like a ridiculous amount of time to play games, but I did manage to get Morrowind started. So I got it started on the day the podcast released, which is on the Sunday, and then I continued it last night, I think. And I'm doing pretty good. I'm totally used to it now. The game is, unforgiving in that it's an old RPG, but I'm fully there. There's nothing where I'm like, hey, like, why isn't this working or whatever? Like, I remember enough of it from my childhood. I am running out though of knowledge, like, of where I am. Like I kind of like recognize the areas I'm at still. I recognize a lot of the quests, although I have done some quests where I haven't. And I discovered something absolutely ridiculous too. So I didn't really like walking, because you have to walk in this game. So I didn't really like walking from town to town because it takes a lot of time. And back then there wasn't really like random events and stuff. There were like not random events, but like scripted events to keep you engaged along the road.
You're
like
really slow too.
Yeah, it is slow. Yeah. Well, you do go faster. Like you level up your speed and stuff, which is nice. But like I got to, like, as a kid, I don't want to walk and there's not really much to see. So I would just fast travel everywhere. And one of the biggest, most iconic cities in Morrowind is actually Vivec. Also one of the most hated cities because it's the most, I would say it's the hardest to navigate. And I yesterday had to literally leave that city because I was going to have a full-blown panic attack looking for a door. Like I just lost my mind. I couldn't handle it and I had to leave. But because the city is all built, just to explain it really quick, the city is all built so it's like, you know how there's like neighborhoods and cities. This city is built such that there's these big concrete structures that are literally each neighborhood. They're connected by bridges, they're over the water, and each of these structures are virtually the same. So there's some differences here and there, and there's one temple district that's unique, but from what I can tell, they're completely, like, pretty well the same, and you have to just know where everything is, and there's no real landmarks to tell you where you are. You can kind of use the map, but it's still clunky, and the inside is all mirrors of each other, and it's just very, very difficult to get around, very, very difficult to find stuff. So, like, I was trying to find the Mages Guild for, like, half an hour, 30 minutes. And I knew which district it was in too. And it was just hell. It's so big that there's actually fast travel within the city. So you have to go to a little gondola driver guy and he'll say like, hey, you know, do you want to go to this district? And they'll actually take you there. So there's fast travel within this city. It's just a huge city. So I did a bunch of the quests there. Actually, there's like a big quest. You know how like you get to a fantasy level city, right? Like in a fantasy game. And there's always those cities that like, they don't have anything going on. It's just sort of like, this is a town or this is a city and, you know, there's shops and this and that. And there's some quests here and there. But then there's those cities in fantasy games that have like a big problem going on actively that like you can get involved in and solve it or whatever. So Vivec has that. Vivec has like this murder, like this string of murders, this serial killers on the loose type of thing. And so I kind of injected myself into there. And I needed to go to like the office of the guards or the office of the, whatever it was in my journal. And or the office of the watch, I think it was. And it took me like over an hour to find that door of where the hell that place was. It was like, I couldn't figure out how to get, like I found this one little area. It kind of looked like the district I should have been in, but I didn't know how to get there. So I like backtracked. Then I got lost. Then I found like a boat that could take me somewhere, but I didn't know what the name of that district was. I'd only seen it. So then I had to like, then I jumped in the water and then realized you can't jump out of water in Morrowind. So I'm in the water below the city. So I had to like find a coast to like go up a ramp. And then I like found a little gondola driver guy and he took me to this other gondola driver and then she could take me somewhere else. So then I was like, well, I've been to like 4 of these districts. I assume the one I want's the temple. I don't know. So I go to the temple. It was it. Then I couldn't find the door because the door doesn't have a sign. And it's like, I couldn't find the door to get into the hallway, which had a bunch of doors in it, and I couldn't find the door in that hallway either. And then that wasn't even the panic-inducing one. The other one was like, go talk to the Mages Guild, and all I had to do was deliver a book, and I could not find the Mages Guild. And then I looked it up because I was like, I'm losing my mind. Like I've been in this building for like half an hour. I've literally like uncovered like a Dark Brotherhood plot in here, just trying to find a door. Like I didn't even want to do this. Like I've discovered like a conspiracy. Like it's gotten to this point. And so I eventually looked
for this.
Like I'm literally level 1. I don't know what's going on. And so I eventually like climb up these steps and it's like following a forum from like 2010 or something. I like climb up these steps and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like the inside of this building doesn't match the outside.
From 2010.
Like, oh yeah, I had to go to like GameFAQs because like there's no videos on it, and I don't know what the hell. It was
a classic.
It was a disaster. You know that meme from the Super Bowl this year of like the one, I don't know musicians very well, but the one musician is like looking through that like maze or whatever.
The Weeknd.
Yeah. So he's like looking through that maze. Somebody put the Morrowind. Well, no, somebody put the Morrowind music already on that and put the Vivec background. It's like first time in Vivec, and he's like looking around, like trying to find out where the fuck he is. But here's the crazy thing. As a kid, I did not know that city was right near the beginning. I just used to fast travel everywhere, like I said. And so I was like walking down the road. Balmora, which is the city you go to first, you're supposed to follow the story, is like to the left in this one fork in the road. So I was like, okay, like I'll go down this fork in the road. But I was like, you know what? What's to the right? And the view distance of this game sucks, like even at max. I turned to the right and I like walk up and I was like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, holy fuck, the biggest city in this game that I'm aware of was right beside the beginning, and I had no idea where it was geographically. Like, I would just pay a Silt Strider or whoever to take me there. I had no idea it was there. So I did a bunch of stuff in Vivec. I remembered all the stuff in Seydanine, which is the first little town. I had like thousands of dollars when I left there because I like found some good loot out in the woods and stuff, cleared out a dungeon, whatever, sold it. And then went to Vivek, did that. Then so yesterday I did the Vivek stuff. I went to Balmora, which is the city you're supposed to go to. Started the quest. I'm like 2 or 3 quests into the main story, and I am like a 2 or 3 into the Fighters Guild as well, which is good. So I'm making a lot of progress. Like, I will say that the game is still challenging. It's hard to find stuff like in this like murder, this like serial killer murder thing. You have to go around and question people. Like, you have to legitimately like figure it out and like go and question people and stuff. And that was a pain. And then the fight was a pain. Like, it was just like, it's an old RPG. But like, what I'm finding is like, because I'm like older and literally smarter and understand how games work.
Older for sure.
Older. Well, like, thank you. But like, now I understand how games work. Like, when they tell me to go someplace, I'm like, oh, that's where you go. It's like, before I would be like, oh, like, do I have to prepare? And then as a kid, I would like fuck around and like go get blessings at the temple or something.
There are universal rules of video games that you can now comprehend that you just.
It's so true though. Like, when I think back, because I've been playing a lot of Oblivion recently, right? And like the majority of my time playing Oblivion was, as I was like a 16-year-old or whatever, and like maybe even younger actually. And I didn't really like. I played a lot of WoW before that, and I didn't really know how to like, or I didn't have any interest in following quest lines. I did a lot of exploring and just like wanting to see the world and stuff like that. And I did that in Oblivion too. So like a lot of my gameplay came down to like being too afraid to go into dungeons because I didn't have any good gear, because I didn't go into dungeons to get good gear, and like having just the most basic like iron armor and fighting like rats and stuff, and then running around in the woods and just seeing like the sights. And like coming across alien ruins and being like, wow, that looks cool. I'm not going to go in there though, because, there's going to be like minotaurs and shit. I don't want to do that. And then like maybe following a quest and like doing half of the beginning of the first quest to like find Martin and Kvatch, and then being too afraid to like fight the Daedra in the city. So like it was all just like it all just like piles on top. It's like, it's not that I didn't like know how to play games. It's just that like what I wanted to do wasn't really like in line with, I guess, what they expected you to do in playing the game. So
there's playing the game and then playing your game.
It's like one or the other, right? And like now when you get older, you sort of like learn how gameplay like loops work and things like that. And you're like, okay, like I'm just supposed to go here and do that and whatever. It's not that complicated. But as a kid, I was just like, you're so much more like engrossed in the environments and stuff. And it's like, It's nothing you've ever seen before kind of thing. And now I've just seen so many different takes on the same environments in so many games. And it's all just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is the thing. Here's your typical bandits in a dungeon. Here's your typical this. Here's your typical that.
So much of my playtime of Grand Theft Auto 3 was just driving around exploring that city.
Yeah, for sure.
It was not actually the missions, just like doing the missions to get to the third island to have everything open, and then it's just like, oh, I'm going to explore every goddamn alley of this thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know if you ever played the Driver games.
Yeah.
But
oh man,
I used to play Driver 2 a fair amount at one friend's house, and I literally had no idea, and I don't know if it was just because of the game or because of like me, but I literally had no idea how you were supposed to like advance the story in that game. So literally all I did was just drive around and like try to figure out what you're supposed to do. Which is like perfect in a game called Driver. But for the sake of gameplay, it's like when you're a kid, you kind of learn how to make your own fun in these things, right? And so when I would play Driver, I would just like drive up and down the roads and into the back alleys and stuff, and like see all the funky places that you could get a car that maybe the devs didn't really intend for you to put that car. And like, of course that leads to some ridiculous stuff too. So a lot of my like memories of playing games with that friend when we were little is like going there and playing Driver and just like glitching the absolute crap out of this game because we're not playing it the intended way. And like, there was lots of, falling through the geometry of the game, and then like falling eternally and stuff like that, and getting out of the car while you're falling, and then your guy gets like suddenly thrust with the velocity of like 3,000 kilometers an hour all of a sudden, like going sideways, and the world map just starts to unload, and just some wild stuff that happens still happens in games these days, but it's certainly maybe not as common. But just goofy stuff, right? And then it's not so much about the destination as it is the journey, right?
Yep.
The fun was in you all along.
God.
They'll age around with it.
Well, the thing too as a kid is like, you kind of like what I would do as a kid is I would spend a lot of my time in Morrowind, like in the cities. And I think it was because like at that time, just video game making, or like in video game development, whatever, like sure, there was a lot of stuff outside the walls, but not even half as much as there was inside, because there's a lot of quests inside the walls. There's lots of buildings, lots of people to talk to, lots of places to like, sneak into. You can like steal stuff from people's houses and stuff, join guilds, talk to the guilds, train with them, whatever. And so a lot of my time was like spent there. And so like even to this day, like I still like, I judge an RPG based on its cities. Like if the cities are just really badly done and all it's there for is show up with my stuff that I took out of that cave and I can sell it at this person, then I immediately my opinion goes down. Like the civilization or like the population centers need to be well detailed for me, and I think Morrowind did that for me as well, or did that to me, because like this game is barren. Like there's no grass, like it's just a flat texture. There's no grass. You're just walking around, and yeah, the game looks totally different. It was revolutionary for the time, I'm sure. The game looks totally different depending on what region you're in, and etc. There's people to talk to, things to discover, but it's just not even a quarter as detailed as games, even Bethesda games, are today. Like if games have improved one thing, it's just that the environment is live as like alive and bustling everywhere if the game is well designed, because it can be. But back then, computers wouldn't have been able to run that with like dynamic grass and stuff like that. Like there's no way. Maybe in another game without the creative engine or something. I don't know, but like that Morrowind was sort of a good game at the time too.
Are you playing this on Game Pass?
Yeah, Game Pass PC.
Which I forget in that chart, that graphics chart that showed everything. Is it on a console?
It is. It's on Xbox.
Is it on mobile?
I don't know. I feel like it isn't, but I don't know.
Cool.
But I will say this is a classic RPG in that I haven't tried it, so it might be good, but I really don't want to use a controller. Like it's like, oh, I'm going to open my inventory. They're literally windows that you click and drag around. You can click and drag their size to see your map and stuff like that and get them out of the way. Like this is a classic RPG. This thing is not, the UI is not concise, or designed, I should say, for a controller in the slightest. Again, I haven't tried the Xbox version. I know that people do like that, so maybe it was well done there. But I'm just not gonna do that right now. But the thing that's good about this is that I think they said, I think on How to Beat, and I'm just doing this from memory, it was like, I don't know, 33 hours ish or something like that to beat the story, which sounds like a lot, but I mean, this is going to be a bit of a project for me, and I am doing side stuff. Like I said, I wanted to.
It's gonna be your It's like you're doing work. It's like you're clocking in at your job.
I mean,
playing Morrowind.
I mean, Ryan
Morrowind,
asked.
To be fair, it's a bit of a job.
Yeah, like Ryan asked, like where, like how far I was in the world or something. I took a screenshot, and like even Ryan, like that map looks like shit. Like it's it's an old game. Like but this is like a bucket list game where I'm just like, I want to fucking beat this. I want this. I want to see the credits, or at least beat the last quest, however that end works. So yeah, like, I mean, I would say I'm not going to do completionist. That's crazy. Like, I don't know if I'm going to go back to Vivek short of me having another panic attack, but like I'm doing a lot of like the little side stuff, doing the guilds, doing that and whatever. And there's a shit ton of detail in this game. So like I am getting a lot more of it too. So, and I have the, I mean, spoiler alert for Morrowind, I guess, but I have the really fast boots now, which make you blind when you run, but because I'm an orc, how I understand it, and I'm not an expert in Morrowind, so I could be totally wrong, but how I understand it is orcs can resist magic pretty well. So when I run with these boots on, it makes me blind, but because I'm an orc, it
you
only makes
that negative magic effect.
Yeah, so it makes it only like, I'm only like half blind, which sounds ridiculous, but what I'm just going to do is wear regular boots, do the dungeons, do whatever. But when I'm traveling, I'm just going to throw those boots on and haul ass. yeah, so like that's where I'm at. I still don't hit at every hit, and it's really annoying. And that's one of the worst parts of the game is that you keep hitting enemies and they don't actually hit them.
Yeah, it rolls the dice on if it does damage or not.
Exactly. So I've been increasing my agility and like whatever else I need to axe and stuff like this to try to get it to be better. I'm not an expert in in like class building in Morrowind by any means, so maybe I screwed that up. But I'm getting through it. So I'm sure I'll get there. I'll hit that. I'll hit the final credits or the last boss or whatever I need to do. So
would you say that Morrowind is one of those, like, it is definitely an old school RPG, but is it so old school that it's one of those ones that's so goddamn hard, like you won't beat it unless you know what you're doing? Or is it forgiving enough that, you know, even someone who doesn't really know games, like if Morrowind was their first Elder Scrolls game, which it was for a lot of people, it was pretty standard to get through?
I'll say this. I quick save before every fight, even in the same cave. Because the probability of like not hitting could sometimes just kill you. And like I'm on the third quest of, say, the Fighters Guild. And so like let's compare it to like Oblivion. I don't remember what the third quest of that game is, but in terms of difficulty, do the third quest in the Fighters Guild. I go in there, you know, maybe I have a bit of trouble, whatever, but like I do it, right? Because the game scales to you. This game doesn't scale to you. So I ran into a room and there's just 3 people all at the same time. They all aggro to you and they just kick your ass. So that can absolutely happen. But I will say this, it's not as hard, I think, as people like what you think it would be. Like, yeah, you're going to die a lot. Yeah, it's not going to be all that forgiving. And there's certain greasy things. So like, okay, there's this one thing where there's like a Dwemer ruin, which is like a big dwarf ruin, if you don't know, or a big Dwemer ruin, like underground. I think they're supposed to be dwarves, that are like a disappeared like people off the face of Tamriel or whatever.
Yeah,
anyway,
the ancient elves. Yep.
Yeah, and so there's a quest. Spoiler alert again, but who cares? For like, you have to get this little puzzle box, and you can go and explore, and this thing allegedly is like really deep. And I remember going into this as a kid, and as you go down and down and down and down this ruin, you will like it gets harder and harder and harder and harder over and over again until the point where there's like those big mech guys in like coming after you. The puzzle box that the guy wants is actually in a nondescript room. There's no quest marker. It is on a random shelf early in the dungeon. So you could spend like 3 hours in there, and if you're good at lockpicking, you could lockpick past this door that's supposed to quote unquote gatekeep you, because it's like a level 30 lock. Like you can run right past that door, or like you can like go through that door if you had proper spells or whatever. Keep going down this dungeon, having no idea where this puzzle box is. Think it's the end game like loot thing, and it's just on a random ass shelf near the entrance. So there's like those things to consider. But like I said before, that type of stuff I will look up. Like if I'm like actually really stuck, like I'm not against looking it up, because I'm not gonna I'm not completionisting or whatever this game or anything. So, but yeah, that's and then also like on top of Morrowind, we did as an aside, as brief as it was, we played and beat the new Avengers expansion. in one sitting. So
I mean, I guess when I think about it, most games that I play, if they ever get a DLC that like it does an expansion of the world and stuff like that, or a new storyline and stuff like that, usually you can do it in one sitting. Like it's been a long time since I played a DLC that took me more than a couple hours to beat.
Fair, but I mean, spoiler a little bit. Maybe they could have actually not reused the same boss that they've used over and over again. Like they could have like maybe put in a new boss at least
entirely.
What's that?
Same enemies entirely.
Oh yeah, same enemies. Yeah, so same enemies. Different new character, which is similar to the last character they added, but whatever. New character, new environment. Environment's pretty cool. That's fine. Same boss, and you don't even fight him. If memory serves.
There's like a cutscene, and then like you tackle him, and then he disappears.
Riveting.
Yeah. So, like, it's not.
I mean,
it's just to introduce the character, though.
I was gonna say, it's a story thing, right? It's for the sake of the story. Yeah.
Man, I am so glad I didn't play this game.
Here's the issue with Avengers is I compare it to the old school movie Lord of the Rings games. Like, I'm no longer like, as a kid I was like riveted by like doing Helm's Deep and stuff. So like I would replay that level 1,000 times over and over again, fighting Urukai and whatever else, some orcs and stuff, over and over again. But I feel like that is what Avengers is trying to capture, or at least that's what it's indicating to me. And it just feels cheap as hell. Same enemies, same environments, same objectives.
But the difference between, and I haven't played Avengers, but from what you're describing of playing those Lord of the Rings games, doing like vignettes of those scenes, is similar to me playing Star Wars games for the same reason. There's a cinematic or other IP property to kind of attach it to. And while yes, Avengers does have its Marvel Cinematic Universe side, this is its own iteration of it, right? This isn't tied to anything else.
It's not tied, no.
Yeah. Like because for me, when I see Avengers, this Avengers game, I just think to myself, I'm like, I don't need a worse version of the Marvel stuff. Like if I have a fix for that. Like I have the Marvel. Yeah, I have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Why do I need to spend my time with this clearly no frills version of like the President's Choice brand? Just give me the good Fortino stuff. Why do I need to go to no frills? Like that's
no one's gonna get these references either.
I was gonna say this is a comparison for Canadians only.
Yeah, they'll get that. They'll figure it out.
Context clues.
That's I don't know if you guys can say yeah or no to that. Like, is that what it kind of feels like?
It's the same fighting. Like, okay, each character I would say is unique enough. I have no problem with the characters. Here's the issue though. Not every, but most missions are like, you fight outside for a bit. You can look for side objectives, which are randomly spawning, and it's usually like a big boss guy, like a little side boss guy will like spawn, like a big mech or something. Or there's just like a chest there, or you need to open up a room with like hitting certain buttons within a certain amount of time, stuff like that. Then you get to an elevator, and you go down the elevator, and it's like one of like 3 labs in a couple of different layouts. And all you do everywhere is fight robots. Even in these new expansions, like robots. Oh, look, robots. Look at this, robots. Like, enough robots, please.
I've seen enough gameplay of that game that I know I'm not ever going to get it, but like, it's so many robots. It's like fucking Gears 4. Like the story of Gears 4. All you do is fight robots.
And Gears 4, I would hope, didn't cost $100 million.
Probably.
I mean, it was Microsoft.
Yeah,
they probably
could have,
yeah.
Also
I mean,
Gears 5.
maybe I shouldn't. Maybe the number. Maybe I shouldn't mention the number. Maybe I should say I don't know whether I would associate like there's enough Marvel IP for there to be more than robots. Is what I should be saying.
Yeah,
like,
it's
yeah,
true. That
yeah,
universe is so
yes.
fleshed out at this point. Even just from the friggin' movies. Like I would not consider myself a Marvel fan, but even I know how many different pools of inspiration they can pull from just fighting robots, or like the occasional like from the gameplay that I saw, like the occasional
Skrull. What are those guys?
Well, like the not like aliens, but like the people that are hired by the one company or whatever to like interfere. I can't remember.
Or do something goofy and just out there, like do a Blade DLC and get vampires in there. Just have like Captain America just beating up on vampires. Like that would be fun. Like
that'd be just funny. Yeah.
I would play that. Like that
concept right there. You've already sold me. Captain America punching vampires.
Vampires, yeah, that'd be great.
Well, here's the sad thing too is there's a voice line, and like Ryan can attest to this too. There's a voice line in the new DLC where you're in the game. You like go whatever. I'm just gonna spoil the story. You go back in time. And you go forward in time to a wasteland, and you're in this wasteland, and they're like, "Oh my god, AIM like survived the thing, and now we're fighting robots." Like, obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like that's literally what they're talking about. Like, "Oh my god, there's robots here again," just to justify like we didn't have any new enemies.
Guys are still around.
Yeah, look at this. Go guess what your enemy is, guys, in this new wasteland biome. Which they do refer to as biomes, and they're just like maps. It's like this isn't.
So basically what we're saying here is buy Ghost of Tsushima. Legends DLC came out for free, and it's a $40 game value right there that they just released because they love you. So
I think I was watching Greg Miller talk about Avengers, and he said, "How did Ghost of Tsushima launch a raid before Avengers launched a raid?"
They would have launched a raid faster than GTA got heists.
You know
thing
what's
that was promised on release.
and how long did it take? A year? More than a year?
2 years and a bit.
Anyway,
It's wild to me that I
Adriano,
can think back and be like, holy
Yes.
crap, like GTA took that long to do this thing that they promised, and like I'm done playing most games by 2 years. Like I don't go back, you know?
Oh, it takes me 2 years to play games.
Yeah, different
like
case, though.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Which,
God.
I mean,
I
still haven't played that one.
yeah, but it just takes me forever to drag through games. Like I think I was about to start what I'm pretty sure was the final mission, and then it crashed on me, and I said, "Fuck this! I'm not loading this up again." And I went to go take a nap. So
It's like Matt playing Assassin's Creed 4.
like Ryan and I played Borderlands on Sunday, and we thought we had hit the end, but it was like a false ending, and then they kept on just dragging it out. And all I could think to myself was like, "Oh my god, I really wish that was the ending." But so we have probably another sitting, maybe two.
Yeah, I think so.
We finished Diablo 3 and
did.
whatever the expansion name was.
Reaper
Trademarked?
of
Yeah.
Souls,
Trademarked, yes.
TM.
I then went back and started playing Heroes of the Storm again on a daily basis to kind of just stick with something else that's Blizzard. And then Hearthstone did something that I am quite on the fence about. I knew it was coming, but they introduced their core set. And they went in and they changed up all the modes. And there is now 4 distinct versions of just the traditional play.
I was going to say, this has something to do with Classic, right?
Yeah, there's all right, let's see if you there's Classic, which you can only play using Classic cards.
Sure.
There is standard / year of the insert current animal name or mythic name. So right now it's Griffin, which is play using only the core cards in the last 2 years worth of expansions. So that's core set plus 6 expansions. Then there's Wild, which is you can use any card except core set. And then there's Casual, which is use any card, no rules whatsoever.
Okay.
The difference is the classic cards that are in Classic are not the same as the classic cards that are in the other 3 modes. So over the years, they have adjusted certain values, attacks, health, and mana cost, or dial or like flavor text or dialogue or whatever. Those new versions of the cards are in Griffin and Wild and Casual, except their versions that exist in Classic are the versions as they existed when the game first launched in 2013 or 2014 or whatever it was. So that's that. On top of those 4, there's now they've recently introduced their Duels mode, Duels Heroic mode, there's Battlegrounds, there's Arena, there's Tavern Brawl, and then there's all this solo stuff. And it is quite overwhelming. And with the update came a whole bunch of bugs and a bunch of misfires on certain things. Like, for instance, I couldn't figure out a way in the game to show me the core cards. So the core cards are not new cards. They're existing sets. And they are cards that are just handpicked. They're literally curated by the game developers to say, these are what we consider to be the 2021 core cards. And over time, they're going to change them. They're going to take them out. They're going to add in new ones. They're going to change what they consider to be the core set. The problem was there's no goddamn filter in my collections to say, show me core cards.
How is there no filter in a game that's like centered around collection?
Yeah, there is a filter, but there's nothing for core. Like I could filter by everything else, but there's no way for me to say core. And I tried to type in core into the search, and it showed me 2 cards that literally have core in the flavor text.
Name.
Yeah, in the flavor text. It's like, okay, so clearly you guys didn't do this right. And I looked it up. I found a list of core cards and like their new visuals for them on like the unofficial Hearthstone wiki, but they put the patch out on Wednesday or yesterday or whenever it was. Yeah, it was yesterday. But I read somewhere that the actual core set isn't officially kicking off until the 30th. So while they put in all the modes, I don't think they're actually filtering the core cards in until probably until this podcast goes up or a little bit after. So it's like, oh, I don't know if this is broken or I just need to wait a couple more days. So that was frustrating because like I would go into my deck builder and it would tell me my decks. It would say, hey, this is your deck, but you only have one of 16 core cards. I'm like, I was trying to say, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck my core cards are. Like, show me my core cards, and there's nothing for me to show. It was quite infuriating.
That's wild.
So I did my dailies. I got the fuck out of there, and then I think I took a nap.
I love after all this, it's like just constant frustration, and then anyway, so I kept playing the game.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, Hearthstone is just it's my smoking habit. It's just a thing that I do. It's just. But other than that, I think that might be it. I hooked up my PS5. I hooked up my PS5. I installed 2 games, and I have played nothing on it.
You get around to it.
That is me.
You installed Overwatch, though, right?
I installed Overwatch. I installed Helldivers, and I haven't launched a single fucking thing.
As for myself, I've been playing a buttload of Call of Duty Mobile.
Really? COD Mobile?
I have become addicted.
It is good, though. It's really good. Like, for a mobile game, it's really, really good.
I had bought the Battle Pass, and I completed it yesterday.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what it is. I think because I'm good at it is the reason why I keep going back. Like, normal Call of Duty, I'm horrible at. Although I have been playing Black Ops Cold War, and I'm okay. I'm doing okay. So
is it like one of those things because it's on mobile and everyone else is kind of not very good on mobile?
Yeah, I don't think it's my skill.
The playing level is a little more even.
Skill. Yes, and there are some damn good people out there too who like kick my ass, and I think they're playing with controllers because they're too nimble, and it's just like you can't do what they're doing on the touchscreen. It's physically impossible as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I would like I bought that SteelSeries controller specifically because it has the ability to connect via Bluetooth to a cell phone.
Right.
So like I was looking up games to play, like mobile games to play that are actually like decent games and not just mobile like fucking trash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I like started playing that Oceanhorn game all those months ago.
Oh yeah.
Which was like I guess a game that released on the Switch originally. But yeah, it worked really well on phone. So
is that game any good? I actually have it on my phone right now.
Yeah, if you like you know, old type Zelda games, like where the point is to explore and like there's lots of side stuff to do and you can kind of go back and do things over again. Like that's what it's about.
Okay.
It's like Link to the Past, basically.
So it's been mostly Call of Duty for me. That's about it. Oh, and I played Octopath Traveler. I started that up because that's now on Game Pass on.
Oh yeah, really?
On PC.
Cool.
One funny thing to note is that when you go into the volume settings and you change the voice setting to preview it, it's just like your character just goes Octopath Traveler, and then you move it down like a notch. And it's like Octopath Traveler.
Just keep saying the same line over and over.
Yeah.
You also beat Avengers, right? Come on, but don't forget about how great of an experience that was.
It's fine. I wouldn't mind it if you guys asked to play it every night.
Every night.
Oh,
how many robots are we killing here? Like,
I mean regularly though.
What you're saying is it's your guys' fault.
No, I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying if there was our small little community around it, I would enjoy playing it.
You know what the problem with it is, you know what, you can complain about the gameplay, whatever, that's fine. But it's just the repetition. Like it's more repetitive than like Fallout 76.
Right, because Fallout you actually have like tasks you can do and different things. This one is literally the only thing you can do is do those missions, and they're the exact same mission every time.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into our first story because it is Marvel's Avengers. I don't want to stick on this too long then, since we've kind of been complaining about about the game this whole time. But anyway, Marvel's Avengers it apparently failed to bring in new users despite adding Hawkeye and new content. This comes from Game Infinitus. Adriana, where'd you dig up this place?
I dug it up.
Infinitus sounds right.
Yeah, I don't know where I pulled the article from. It was probably a Reddit thread that pointed it somewhere.
You're right.
Then yeah.
So Marvel's Avengers was one of the most anticipated games of 2020, but due to a disappointing launch, lack of post-launch content updates, and lower than expected critical reception, the game ended up losing a lot of its users. On Steam, it peaked at 28,000 concurrent users, which is pretty tame overall, while on consoles it didn't fare any better. So since the release of the new content that was back on March 18th, the concurrent user count has barely peaked 2.5 thousand, as per the Steam charts, which is 14 times less than launch peak back in September. It is a 5 times improvement over the average 500 concurrent users, but pretty sad number for getting a new content drop. I believe I did hear, I don't have a source of this, but I believe I did hear though that like people are playing longer and it was on Twitch. People were playing it on Twitch for a lot longer too. So there is some hope, I guess.
I mean, when the bar is low,
only way to go is up.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the most anticipated game of one of the most anticipated games, because this game got flack right out of the gate too. Like, it was immediately met with, "Hey, that's not Chris Evans or Scarlett Johansson. We don't want the." And then like they had to kind of adjust stuff or
say, and the Sony deal.
Yeah, as well. So it seemed like this game was fighting an uphill battle right out of the gate. Like, it had to compete with the MCU and it had to compete with a incredibly well received Spider-Man game. So
yeah.
So like,
yeah.
What about that Ultimate Alliance 3 as well? Like, that was pretty recent, in all things considered. I think it might be a Switch exclusive, but even still, like, I don't really hear that game getting a lot of flack either.
It's just, I find it amazing that you can have a game full of established characters with character traits, roles, storylines, motivations, whatever. But then a game like No Man's Sky, where it's just about you sailing around space, or Sea of Thieves, you sailing around the water, has more players coming back to it and a bigger player base than
it's almost
goddamn Avengers.
Prefer engaging gameplay than popular characters.
So something as simple as just loading a cannon into a cannonball into a cannon and firing it is better than punching a robot over and over again.
Or yourself, because they weren't afraid to make it silly.
Yeah.
Like, launching yourself out of cannons. Like, when I found out that you could do that, I was like, this game is an instant classic. Like, I was lucky enough to get that game gifted to me by friends for Christmas, but if I had a chance to play it and then buy it, I would have in a second. Like, it's so damn good.
Yeah. So I haven't played this. Tim, you haven't played this game?
Which one?
Avengers?
I have not played it.
These two have. Matt and Ryan, what will it take? Like, are you guys going to go back to it as they release free content? Like, is this your
Seems to be the case.
Okay.
Although we don't stick with it. We play the new content and then we leave.
Bail.
Yeah.
Tim, is there a scenario where you would ever play this game, or are you just not going to play it?
From what I've seen from gameplay, like, it doesn't seem like my kind of game. I tend not to like just keep mashing the attack button until the wave of enemies are gone. Like, I don't like the Dynasty Warriors type games. I find them really boring. Like, I'm okay playing repetitive games as long as the gameplay loop is engaging enough, and I don't find those type of games engaging. And I'm also not really into like the Marvel universe myself, so it's just like a double whammy that it's not really for me. Like, I'm not the target demographic for it.
I think with me, I'm probably not going to play this game unless they say the game is shutting down, which will make the entire game unplayable in some form. When if I know that it is going to go away, I'd be like, okay, I'll just rip through this campaign just for the sake of saying I played it.
Sure, yeah.
And then I can not have to worry about it.
I mean, the campaign alone is definitely worth it. I thought it was a great campaign.
Yeah, and like it wouldn't cost me anything. Like I have it in my Stadia library as an extension from my brother's account. Like he's essentially gifted it to me.
Oh right, yeah.
But I'm probably still not going to play it unless something forces my hand.
The thing that sucks about it is that I think like Ryan and Marty, who we've been playing with, would disagree maybe, but I'm still on the like I still believe that the game was a campaign first, was single player focused, and then the multiplayer was tacked on. I think Marty maybe like agree with me there. I think maybe you have a different opinion, Ryan, or I can't remember. We had a discussion about it when we were playing it, but. Like, it just feels to me like they were like, oh, this is a modern game. We need to have a gameplay loop. Okay, well, there's like an Avengers headquarters. All right, put some vendors in there and, like, make daily stuff, like go in the shop and stuff. Like, it just seems like they just added that, whereas the gameplay didn't feel repetitive in the story. Like, the story is actually good. The little story bits that we get with these updates are actually good. But the problem is that they want you to keep going back in. But when you go back in, it's literally the same thing every time in a slightly different environment. So,
well, I think Crystal Dynamics is the one who made this game, and they mainly make single player games. Right. So I think this is just them kind of, dipping their toes into a live service game for the first time. So I think they did plan to make this a live game from the beginning. It's just they didn't have the experience.
That is a fair point too. I didn't really think about the experience,
And think about how hard it is. Even like Division and Destiny all had rocky launches, right? So
the thing is though is like, okay, the Division had a rocky launch because it was lacking some, like the first one was lacking end game content. I think that. That's kind of where we're at in this game. But the thing is that we're kind of also not. Like, the campaign can be played, straight away, but so can the online mode. So some people may never really do much of the story. They might just jump into the online. So, like, whereas the Division suffered in a critical area, which is endgame, the actual gameplay loop was fine. But the thing is like, I think that it should be obvious, which like might sound whatever, but like it might sound arrogant, but like I think it's obvious that you shouldn't have the same environments and the same enemies for literally hundreds of hours of potential gameplay if you were to grind every character to max. Like, to me, it's sort of like, don't you like, okay, you don't even need to be like, sure, okay, maybe you screwed up a raid or something like that. Yeah, you're new to games as a service, totally reasonable. But is it acceptable to just do the same enemies over and over and over again in the same damn tundra environment? Like, why?
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know what, kind of what happened with these.
Too many currencies as well.
Who makes these decisions and stuff?
It just feels like this should not have been the last property that should have been a live game.
Yeah. Although it could have worked. I imagine someone could have made it work. I think the pieces are there. It's just maybe they need time to put it all together. But
look at the crafting material that we have to deal with.
Yeah, it's kind of it feels weird.
What's the crafting material?
That's a good question. There's like, you go around, there's like boxes of it and you get it for rewards and stuff like this. You can find it. And it's just random ass like polycrons, nanites, nanobots. Like, it's just like, what the fuck are we like? I don't know. Like, it feels really fake. Like, the whole experience feels fake.
So I was going to say, like, it feels like a disingenuous, like, cash-in type of thing, which is funny because, like, I follow some of the voice actors that worked on that game and stuff, and they seemed really, like, passionate to work on that project. And a lot of them are really big Marvel fans and have been for a long time, and I'm sure they were glad to, be able to do it, but it just wasn't received well, and that's obviously not their fault. Like, the game design is not their domain, but like, it just feels like it lacks a certain amount of soul, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, from what I saw from the story too, it just seemed like you're obviously playing as like from at the beginning of a majority of the game from what I saw from like Kamala's perspective. And like I get that she's supposed to be like a fan who's like obsessing over getting to meet the Avengers and stuff like that. But it just seems like a weird self-insert OC type thing. I don't know if I'm the only one that like kind of felt that way, but like it literally feels like whoever wrote the story for that game like wishes that they could meet the Avengers in real life, and Kamala is just them.
That's interesting, actually.
So I don't know. It just came off kind of like a bit
cheesy,
cringy. Yeah, really tasteless, really cheesy. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just how it reads to me. And like I watched maybe the first couple hours, an hour or two of the story, and I was like, this is pretty painful for me to get through. Like I'm physically cringing at some of these lines of dialogue. Like I don't know. It's
I mean that opening might be a little cringy, like you were saying, but the story definitely develops in a completely different direction.
Mm-hmm.
It is mostly praised too, and I thought the campaign was really great, and but
it's a shame when it didn't seem to be like the main focus of the game.
Yeah,
because it probably could have been a good single player experience, but they wanted it to be a live game.
All right, let's move on to our next story here. Microsoft's in talks to buy Discord for more than $10 billion.
And how much did they buy ZeniMax for?
It was like 7.5, something like that. You might want to check me on that. So Discord has been talking to potential buyers, and software giant Microsoft is in the running, but no deal is imminent, said the people who asked not to be identified. Discord is more likely to go public than sell itself, one person said. Representatives from Microsoft and Discord declined to comment. VentureBeat reported earlier on Monday that Discord was engaged in sales talk. So Microsoft, which last year sought to buy social media app TikTok and held talks to acquire Pinterest, has been shopping for assets that would provide access to thriving communities of users, according to people familiar with the company's thinking. Microsoft's Xbox business has also been expanding the suite of subscription perks it provides as part of its Game Pass offering. Microsoft shares were up about 1.2% in the first minutes of trading Tuesday.
I really don't want them to buy them. They're gonna ruin them.
I don't think they would, though.
I don't think it's gonna end up happening in the end. It's just I see Skype situation happening all over again, where it's they bought Skype and then they let it go to shit, and then now it's not even like it's barely supported, and then they folded Skype for Business into Teams, and it kind of soiled the Skype branding.
I kind of thought that I think you're right brand wise. I thought if they took them, they would make it the Xbox chat. Like you wouldn't be in an Xbox Live party necessarily, or maybe it would still be called that, but it would effectively be a Discord like chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because Discord is and always has been about games, right? Like I remember when Discord first came out and people were first talking about it, they literally described it as Skype but for games, and that's what it's always been about. They tried having a game store even on that platform, for God's sake. Like, so
yeah,
I kind of wonder if maybe if they are going to go through with this, like if they will say in the hypothetical that they actually did go through with it and Microsoft acquires it, I don't feel like they're going to try to repurpose Discord to suit their needs and make it like, oh, now it's a business platform, because nobody wants that. I feel like they're going to make it they may even get like a new team for it, or like if they even have a team dedicated to like gaming, or they'll have some part of Microsoft, some division of Microsoft break off, and then there'll be the Microsoft, I don't even know what they'll call it, like Microsoft Game Chat or just something, or Xbox Game Chat, rebranding Discord that way, and then they're just using Discord's, feature set and UI and user experience and that sort of thing. And hopefully just sort of take it and use it for its intended purpose. Of course, I could be totally wrong, but that's what would make the most sense for me. Like, I don't think they're going to try to change it up too much. They're just going to rebrand it to be Microsoft.
See, for me, I think I would be okay if it was the other way around. If they let it be just the way it is. If they buy it and treat it like they're treating, or they say they're going to treat ZeniMax and Bethesda, where it's just going to run somewhat independently and just say, do what you keep doing, we simply own you, I think I would be okay with that. I would be afraid of like, oh, because as soon as they rebrand Discord to Xbox Chat or Xbox Live or Discord X or whatever the fuck they would call it,
Discord Series X.
There you go.
S.
it would just kind of just sully the name, and like I think it was the Xbox One when it first came out. Like, was there not an onboard Skype system worked into that?
I believe there was a Skype app.
Like, when you were chatting with people on Xbox, on that Xbox, so were you chatting with them through Skype or were you chatting with them through Xbox
Or
chat?
at least not known to us, but no.
Okay. I want those two to stay separate. If Microsoft wants to buy them and like own them, great. I get it.
Yeah.
Just don't leave them separate.
I will say that like them buying Skype, like, but the thing is them buying Skype was old Microsoft. Like, Microsoft's changed a lot. Like, they've bought GitHub, they've bought Bethesda ZeniMax, and like GitHub, which is like a developer tool. They've had that for a long time, and they haven't really, I would say anyway, screwed it up. They have LinkedIn, which is a more recent social media purchase, and even that, is just LinkedIn. Like who cares that Microsoft has it?
I cannot remember who I was talking to about this. Forgive me if it was one of you guys, but somebody I was talking to said, like, remember when we used to say to somebody, "Hey, let's Skype tonight." Skype was the verb, and we would and like that was the word we were using, and now
it's
nobody fucking uses that. It's FaceTime. Maybe it's like, oh, we're going to Zoom chat tonight or something else, or we're going to whatever it is. But like nobody asks to Skype anymore. And it just feels like Microsoft bought that brand that was really good, and then they just drove it up to a farm on upstate somewhere and just dropped it off the side of the road and said, all right, best of luck, bud. And then
they literally did nothing with it. It's because no one uses Skype anymore because there are so many other platforms that do it better.
Yeah, and it kills me because it's like, oh, like you guys did exactly to Skype what I don't want you to do to anything is integrate it in with the other Microsoft properties. Like when I open up my People's app, my Contacts app on Windows, in my Microsoft account, my Outlook account, there's a bunch of subdivisions. It's like, oh, I can go in there and I can toggle on like Skype and then Xbox and then I think MSN was in there at one point, and then then you have like my proper Outlook things, and then when I turn it on, I have like a bunch of just these old legacy contacts that don't go anywhere. So it's then like Matt shows up twice, and then one of them's got his Skype photo, which is the Walking Dead thumbnail. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where that's from. But then there's also like a proper Matt Lawrence contact that I made, and it's just a hodgepodge mess, and I don't like it.
Man, I totally forgot that I could use MSN on my Xbox 360.
Yeah, man, I had the chat pad.
Crap. Yeah, so did I.
Yeah,
there was an MSN Messenger button on it. And
fuck
then
it would light up when you had a notification.
I
gotta remember this.
I remember playing Xbox 360, and then all of a sudden it's like somebody messaged me, like it popped up.
Yeah, you get an Xbox notification.
Yeah, it's
for
like
MSN.
Somebody says this, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? I don't want this. And I immediately went into the settings and I tried to like, how do I appear offline? Like, how do I get rid of this? I want to be the one to chat people. I don't want people seeing me online. But in hindsight, it was cool that even worked. Like, I'm surprised that Microsoft did the legwork to get that functional to that point. But
yeah, I wonder what the percentage of users was that actually took advantage of that feature.
I mean, there was no chat pad even for Xbox One, so probably not.
There wasn't a chat pad for that thing?
Not to my knowledge, not to my memory.
One interesting thing here is that the Bloomberg intelligence analyst, Matthew Canterman, he brought up the point that they could include Discord's Nitro service into Game Pass.
What is the Nitro service?
It's like a premium service. You can like attach bigger files and among a bunch of other things, stickers and stuff.
You have higher bandwidth when you're streaming through Discord. You can use emotes from servers on any other server, stuff like that. Extra functionality.
You know what's fucked up about this though is like, why would they allegedly pay $10 billion for this? Because I just checked that Bethesda deal was only $7.5 billion. Like, this kind of sounds like it's fake now.
Yeah, and that's why off the bat I asked what was the ZeniMax deal, because it's like they're going to pay what they paid for ZeniMax plus another $2.5 billion.
Yeah,
what was it? The second largest acquisition for a game company ever,
and
plus
a half
extra $2
billion on top of what they just paid for ZeniMax.
I think the difference is though that like ZeniMax makes a handful of games for a handful of gamers. It's going to be in the millions, obviously, but Discord is probably used among, a whole ton more people. Right.
Everybody uses Discord, yeah.
Yeah, almost every gamer with a PC probably is using Discord to some extent. So it's probably getting a lot more traffic than ZeniMax is. The
thing is with Bethesda, like you raise a good point, Ryan, but the thing with Bethesda is that their licenses are like, they're actually, when they release a game, it's big news. Whereas chat apps now are actually like eye-rolling news. Like it's like, oh, what's this chat app got? Like if WhatsApp goes away, we can use God knows how many other different apps. There's so many apps, and like just Google alone has started and killed how many chat apps. Like chat apps are now no longer interesting. And so for them to spend $10 billion allegedly on this thing, maybe for the infrastructure, sure, but even then, like does Microsoft need the infrastructure? Like I'm sure they could figure that out.
Yeah, there are other stuff though. Is not.
I don't think
infrastructures for other stuff kind of sucks though.
I don't think it's strictly also just like making money from this deal. They're probably going to use this for data collection, which they can then sell, right? I think a lot of these acquisitions on these services are not only because we've moved into a service economy, right? It's no longer selling products, you're selling services, but they're also this massive data acquisition that companies want, I think that might be part of it as well.
And another thing too is like to build on the services is Game Pass obviously is a service. They could do some cool stuff in Game Pass. Like it could be like, I don't know, if Tim is like building something in Minecraft, which Microsoft also owns, I just realized, or I just remembered. And like, let's say Tim is building something in Minecraft, I don't know. Right now with Discord, he could stream that to us. Like if we were in a, let's say a voice chat with him, he could stream that to us. But with Game Pass, if he was playing Minecraft through Game Pass, Tim could effectively send us a link and we could join automatically via Discord, streaming Minecraft, not installed. And we just joined his world by clicking one link.
Right.
Like
it's possible.
Hypothetically, right? Like Discord could become, if it is going to be purchased by them, Discord could become the Xbox Game Pass PC app, or the Xbox, like the xCloud PC app.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say it could become sort of a catch-all Microsoft PC experience platform type thing.
When do you guys have Skype accounts? Are they worked in with your existing Microsoft account, or do you have a dedicated like separate Skype account?
It's my Microsoft account.
I integrated it. It was separate. I integrated
it. For me, I had a dedicated Google one. Then I like integrated it, but it was still like my Google, but it was tied to my Microsoft account, and then I didn't like it. So then I separated it, made sure there was a connected Microsoft one, and then I wanted to shut down my Gmail one, because there was like, if you searched me on Skype, there was two of me. Then there's one through my Gmail, one through my Outlook. So then I had to like contact Skype, because apparently that's like they don't actually shut down the account. They literally just your request will just hide your name. They'll literally just hide you from search and pretend that you don't exist, and then. And then you have to like tell everyone in your contacts list to like not use that one. So then I had to like go everyone in my contacts and say, okay, ignore get rid of my Gmail one, re-add me as Outlook. So then everyone had to do that. And then that was a whole pain in the ass. And I really, really fear that I have to do something similar with Discord. Like that is the part about this that I don't like.
Oh, I gave up on contact lists about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago.
Yeah,
I gave up on contact lists, and now what I have to do on all my phones is sign into all my accounts because my contact list is split up and random across every single service because I don't know where they are.
Matt, when this pandemic is done, okay, if I tell you I will dedicate a day, I will take a day off of my second job, and I will come to your place, and we will sit down. And we will sort through, delete, amalgamate, course correct all your content.
I mean, I'll do that. Like I'll say this.
Yeah.
I want, like, if there was a way to do it, like with a piece of software or something, I would.
No, but like we will.
Oh yeah, we will do it. So you're gonna like fill in for the software.
Yeah, we will. I will grab a pad of paper. We are going to literally write down all your important contacts in your life. We are going to delete everything from everywhere. We are going to pick the service you want, and we will get going. Can I do that for you? Can that be my post-pandemic gift to you?
Yeah, I'll take it. That's fine.
Okay. All
right. Speaking of Microsoft, they are rebranding Xbox Live to the Xbox Network. This comes from
Xbox
The Verge.
lowercase n network.
Yes. So
that really bothers me.
Instances of the new branding started appearing in the Xbox dashboard recently for beta testers, with clips being uploaded to Xbox Network instead of Xbox Live. Microsoft now has confirmed the name change. Xbox Network refers to the underlying Xbox Online service, which was updated in the Microsoft Services Agreement, says a Microsoft spokesperson in a statement to The Verge. The update from Xbox Live to Xbox Network is intended to distinguish the underlying service from Xbox Live Gold memberships. So Microsoft has been using the Xbox Live to refer to its underlying Xbox service since its original launch 18 years ago.
I kind of, I didn't believe Victor Lucas and I'm paraphrasing, I listened to his podcast, and he said something like, in the future, I was going to say there will be robots. Fucking Vice City has ruined me. Vice City has ruined me. But he said that, like, in the future, there could be generations of kids or just generations of people that, don't say like Xbox Series, Xbox One, Xbox, whatever the hardware is. They say Game Pass, or they don't even say Xbox. They just say Game Pass. Like Game Pass is the brand. I wonder if this is a step toward that.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that.
Because I thought he was crazy. I was like, nah, like they're gonna keep the Xbox part of it. That's the brand. Obviously, they haven't killed the Xbox part of this yet, but maybe this is a step.
Matt, remember, it goes back to our streaming debates. While we are thinking 1 or 2 years ahead as consumers, they're thinking 10 to 15 years ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have to be as a big company because you're slow moving.
Yeah. But
crazy.
Man, that lowercase n really bothers me. I don't know why.
Because it doesn't make it seem like it should be part of the title.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like this is just a network.
It's
called
not
Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just network.
Here's just Xbox Network. It should be Xbox Network. That's what it.
I mean, it's not the biggest deal. It's
not.
It's still weird. I will agree.
I do prefer it over Xbox Live.
Yes, I prefer Xbox Network over Xbox Live. I just prefer it. I would prefer capital N.
No, I don't like. Come on now, I gotta keep the nostalgia in there. Like it's just a name, Xbox Live. Like I'm probably gonna always say Xbox Live. I'm gonna be like we're the old guys that say Rewind as well.
I'll tape it.
Yeah, like that too. Yeah, like that too. Like oh yeah, like tape that.
My dad tells me
roll up the windows.
Roll up the windows. Yeah,
I still do literally.
Yeah. I still have.
What else do you say?
I have crank windows still on my car. My dad tells me to, if I ever have to message like one of my siblings, he tells me to send. Tells me to send them a fax.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
And I just nod. I'm like, okay, Dad, I'll send him a fax. And I just...
All right, and some bit of sad news. Back for Blood has been delayed to October 12th. This is from GameSpot. It's a delay of nearly 4 months from its previous date. In a statement, Turtle Rock Studios said it needs more time to make the zombie co-op shooter. On the bright side, it'll be offering another chance at the beta in the meantime.
Oh, there you go. It's a good trade-off, I guess.
Wait, there was a
original beta, yeah.
Oh, did not know that.
I don't even know if I saw how to get into it.
Oh, okay.
I think they announced it at the Game Awards. Like there was a link or something that we could have went to, but like for something like this, like I thought it was going to be like early enough before the delay that I didn't care about the beta.
We talked about this before when we talked about briefly Dying Light 2 and it being delayed. But I want to know what the daily routine looks like for somebody who would see a game that they're waiting for get delayed and just throw a shit fit over it. Just be like, no, release the game already. And just be like, what is your life like that the worst thing that happens to you is a game being delayed?
Yeah, I fucking envy. I envy
Like,
those people.
that
yeah,
must be nice.
You envy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, exactly. Like what Tim just said. Like, if that is their worst problem, it's like I'll gladly trade places. Like,
That you go onto social media and you freak out at the developers. You tell the developers to like go fucking die or whatever because they haven't released the game that you want yet. Like, it must be hard. You know?
It is funny though that this keeps happening, and all the time we hear like, why do they give the release date? And it's like they keep giving the release dates. I think it's probably just a marketing thing and a way to get funds in early for pre-orders, right?
yeah, that's what it is. They can't do pre-orders. Like there's probably some kind of sort of consumer protection saying you can't do pre-order if you're not going to tell them when they're going to get it. Even if they say you can delay it, but there has to be like a written date somewhere in order to accept somebody's money.
Yeah.
So honestly, at that point, just start a GoFundMe or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, like that. Just do that. Take people's money that way, and just say the game comes out when the game comes out. Don't even.
I mean, that's what Cyberpunk said back in the day, apparently.
Laughs in Metroid Prime 4.
So I
had that game pre-ordered for 4 years.
Good God.
Metroid Prime 4.
Yep.
Yeah. It'll
Supposed to come out of the Wii U.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, our last story here. Sony and PlayStation Productions are developing a Ghost of Tsushima movie with John Wick's Chad Stahelski directing. This comes from Deadline. They're developing a film adaptation of the hugely successful action-adventure game Ghost of Tsushima, which had Stahelski attached to direct. The game recently crossed a massive milestone of selling 6.5 million copies since its July 2020 debut.
Hell,
that's a lot of copies.
I quote, we're excited to be partnering with Chad and 8711 Entertainment to bring their vision of Jin's story to the big screen. We love working with creative partners like Chad, who have a passion for our games, ensuring we can create rich adaptations that will excite our fans and new audiences. That was from Assad Kizilbash, head of PlayStation Productions. So if you don't know who Stahelski is, he is the director of the John Wick movies.
Did you see on like Twitter, I think is where it was the largest, but there was apparently some sort of like announcement that they didn't know who to cast to play Jin in the movie. And everyone's like, why not just cast the fucking guy who played Jin in the game? Like they modeled Jin after him. Like he is Jin. Jin is him. They're the same person.
That's always the case, though. They always cast
They have to.
different people.
Yeah. Why is Jack Black doing the voice of Claptrap when he
Well, I don't think they modeled the Claptrap robot over a human. To be fair, like
no, but they could use a voice actor.
But they're going to animate a fucking robot, and they're going to get a wacky voice. Why not get the voice that made him famous?
Maybe they're getting Jack Black to dress up like Claptrap.
Fine, you know what? If they do that, at least I'd say, okay, I get what you're going for, and now this makes sense logistically.
Is he not even shrunk too? He's Jack Black size.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's just Jack Black, but he's wearing like a T-shirt that vaguely looks like the design of Claptrap.
That would make sense then. I would understand the reasoning behind that, which is like if you're gonna whatever.
The problem is marketing, though, right?
Yeah,
I don't know who the actor is who played Jin, and I imagine most audiences wouldn't. And so you can't make this multi-million-dollar movie, and they want to put a face to it, right?
Yeah.
Particularly video game movies, who most of the general public probably doesn't have much interest in.
To be fair, nobody knew Ghost of Tsushima either until it came out. And now,
but games are different. Games are not sold on Star Power.
Yeah.
No, it's I mean,
There's-
you have the entire Super Mario franchise that proves that star power does in fact.
God damn it.
So,
You son of a bitch.
Okay, that was the podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
no, I can't end on that. That's terrible.
I mean, that's all we got, though.
Well, actually,
all
I
self-to-stop.
have a query corner question for you, potentially.
All right.
Boom.
Let's hear it.
Just a real easy one. It's actually Mario based. What do you guys think about this Death of Mario Day, them taking away these games for sale and whatnot?
Oh, yeah.
Can you recap which ones are actually going away?
I don't know which ones. I just remember that, like, I can pull up a list here. I can Google it there now, but I just remember that, like, everyone's saying, like, the one day, like, Mario dies this day or whatever. That's, like, what the internet is dubbing it. And
That was today, wasn't it? March 26th?
Mario dies on
God.
March 31st from the Independence.
31st.
So what's getting taken away?
Okay, what is it? It's the
Collection of three March 31st,
Oh,
the
yeah,
Super
yeah, it's
Mario
the
3D
Mario
All-Stars
collection.
game, a collection of three
Yeah.
classic Mario games on N64, GameCube, and Wii, re-released on Nintendo Switch will no longer be available to buy in either physical or digital format. Super
Okay,
Mario Bros.
pause right
35, Game & Watch Super Mario Bros., and a collection of Super Mario Bros. 35th anniversary merchandise will also be removed from Nintendo's store. That's a little snippet from The Independent.
Okay, so the challenge one, like that one boggles my mind. I don't know why they would take a small little arcade kind of
Yeah.
battle royale game away. The Game and Watch physical Nintendo, that makes sense a little bit more because production would just inevitably end on that.
Yeah,
they
that's
would
fair.
yeah, and I just weird that they're killing that early intentionally. They just kind of let that die off as it normally would. Because like I went and bought one. I have one packed away. I just bought one to have. The 3-pack digital Mario games, I absolutely, because what is it? 50? How much is it? $60 for all three?
sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that they're going to take down the digital one, and then they're going to sell each of them individually for $40 each. So then they're just going to just have 3 separate purchases in the Nintendo eStore for those.
I can
That's
see
what
it
I think.
happening, but yeah, I don't know.
The weird part is the removal of all existing stock for the physical release of those games. That's the part that really, really confuses me.
Yeah, I have to
Because-
message my friends that work at the store and be like, "Do you guys have to like ship back the
Yeah,
physical
they are.
copies
Oh,
now?"
yeah. it's so
yeah,
weird.
they are. I think one of the articles I read says that they have to ship them back. It's like, you know what kind of like logistical shipping cost that is to reach to every corner of every store in the world and take that back? It's like you usually just you mark that down and you let that die off, or you let them sell off their stock.
And it's
Like,
a Nintendo game, so we'll
yeah,
never
it's
ever
like-
do that. And it's Mario, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's like to take that back. Like, are they going to destroy it? Are they going to throw it at the bottom of the ocean? Like, what are they going to do with this?
Yeah, they're gonna bury them
It's-
all like the ET copies.
Like every aspect of this shutdown, it's like, okay, like you guys are protective of your IPs. I get you taking down the digital one. I get you guys stopping production on the Game & Watch. But it's just like the physical removal of the cases from the store. It's like
Can you get in trouble? Like if you're an independent
that's
game,
where they lost
if you're
me.
if you're like an independent game shop and you just have even someone traded in or something.
You can start selling black market copies of Mario 35.
It's-
Yeah, like
I
is
guess-
it illegal? Like are they?
It's whatever your supplier agreement is. Whatever you agreed to when you took that on. If it was like if you said I have to sell back the stock that I have to my supplier at this date, whatever's unsold, you're going to face a certain penalty. It's a case by case basis. I'm sure Nintendo would have worked that in if they knew they were going to take these back.
This is
I
crazy.
find that as somebody who's worked in retail and like to physically house that stuff and then to like send it back, it's like just sell it off cheap. Like, oh, it's weird.
It's very strange.
I
It's very
have a
strange.
really like pessimistic view of this. I think this is the first thing we're seeing where we have games that try to monopolize your time with like daily quests and battle passes and whatever else. But there's always something they're trying to do, right? Like we had microtransactions years ago, or DLC, expansion packs even before that. So expansion packs, then you had DLC, then you had microtransactions, and some of these meld together. And then you had battle passes and live games kind of came in around the same time as each other and stuff like that. And there's like all these daily quests and whatever. And like World of Warcraft had some of that a little bit too, with dailies and stuff, but it wasn't as like crazy with battle passes and stuff. So like, we've seen this kind of slowly build up. Games are trying to monopolize your time, trying to monopolize your wallet, whatever. Now they're like, what else is there? What else can we do? Well, you can raise the value of a game by making it falsely like not available. You can just say like, well, instead of our game being on the shelf being $80 and it slowly, you know, creeps down to 20, we'll just only sell it for 2 months at a time and not tell you when the 2 months are. And then we'll just like re-release it and be like, oh, look, $80 again. You better get it now before it's gone.
Supply and demand. It's the way of the future.
It's pretty it's pretty weird for Nintendo to be the one that does that. Like, I know Nintendo, like we've said, is like all about the protecting their IP. That's fine, but it's pretty bizarre for them. Like, if this is what they're testing, if this is what they're trying, if this is what they're doing, that's pretty weird for Nintendo.
Yeah, it makes you wonder the why, right? It's like, is it because they wanted to have that false sense of like, oh, you have to act fast, and then that increases the demand for a game they probably already like oversupplied anyway? Or is it because it's Mario? Is it because they're trying something new for their like IPs that they're releasing digitally, like their main IPs like Zelda and then Pokemon, etc.?
Yeah, why
I
didn't they
definitely
make
think
it?
it is demand.
Hmm?
I definitely think it is demand. It's the Disney Vault thing where you put a movie away for 10 years.
Did they make them ship them back though?
No, I don't think so.
I doubt that.
See, like that makes sense though. It's like, hey, we're not printing this anymore. You know, fair enough. Like that's physical resources. You don't want to get a plant like in a factory or whatever to you know print discs or whatever anymore. Fair enough. But
Like, if they were concerned with making the most profit possible, why wouldn't they just make it digital only? Like, manufacturing those Switch cartridges is probably such an overhead cost for each sale. Like,
and
if
double
it really
shipping
was
some of
about
them?
and then having to bother to ship everything back, why not just only release it digitally, and then have that digitally available for, you know, whatever X period of months, and then that's it. Like, it's such a bizarre. Like, you think maybe you know one reason as to why they're doing it, but then there's just so many better ways to do it. I don't know.
I can't wait for the documentary like 10 years from now where they go in and cover the shipping container that was found at like
The Suez Canal.
Yeah, like somewhere. It's like, oh, we found all the lost things. It's like the ET game cartridges in the desert.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Adriano, because you use a lot of Nintendo consoles. So if you bought a game on let's say the Wii. If you bought the Wii, like on the Wii, you go to the digital store, whatever it was called, and you purchase an old Mario game. I don't know, just an old Mario game. And then you say want to play that on the Wii U. You can back up your like Wii or whatever to your Wii U via however you do that. I don't know whether you need because there's like that lesser version of the Wii U and stuff, whatever the logistics are. But in the end of the day, there's a way to move your Wii data, but it is moving it, I believe.
Which I have done.
So is it now? So there's one question. So it's like a multi-tiered question. So you're literally moving it off the Wii, right?
Yep.
So it's not copying it. It's moving it from the Wii.
Well, it is. Even moving it is a copy. That's but
like
what it does.
You can't go back to your Wii and like just have all your stuff there.
So what it did was when I did a transfer, I connected both devices on the same Wi-Fi. It made sure it had a stable connection, and it goes, we will do a one-time imprint of this Wii onto this Wii U. So what it did was it's going to make a virtual Wii version. So everything as it was exists. I have to like you don't launch into the Wii U, you launch into the Wii, and then my Wii as it was exists there.
Mm-hmm. I did the same thing.
Yeah, and then so like you say, okay, do it, and then it does like a little weird Pikmin
little animation of Pikmin carrying the blocks.
Like, it's like, oh, of course Nintendo has to do like a weird animation. Like, it's adorable, but they have to do a weird animation for every little thing.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So they did that, and then what it did was it immediately wipes the Wii, and it treats it as if it's a brand new one. So you then essentially have a factory reset Wii. So then that got packed away. So and I still have my Wii U still hooked up. Like I use it for virtual console gaming. That is my preferred thing for all virtual consoles, because I believe, I could be wrong, that the Switch uses a subscription service to play. Like, you don't actually buy the games,
I don't know
right?
if you can buy them, but you do get a collection of them to play with the online subscription.
You get a collection of this. Yeah, that's where it lost me on it. And as long as that is a thing, I would rather just have the games that I want to outright buy on the Wii U.
I don't
And
think
that's
the Switch Virtual Console or Virtual Library was intended for people who like to do retro gaming. I think it was, it's not that much work for us to make this work for the people who have a subscription to Nintendo Online anyway. So let's just offer them some games, and then every couple of months we'll release another 2 and another 2 and another 2.
Well, here's a question.
For me,
then,
I'd rather just curate my collection and have my Super Nintendo games there.
So like with what you guys just explained, obviously like Nintendo is kind of a more analog company. They're not like super into like, look, you downloaded this game and now it's in the cloud, sign in anywhere, and whatever. Like they don't have that.
They don't know what the internet is.
Right. So
they have cloud saves, but only if you subscribe to the Nintendo Online.
Well, like the point of the matter is like the Wii, like you have to do that transfer thing, and then like Adriano was saying that he physically buys them on the Wii U, and if your Wii dies, which I think has happened to you, Adriano, you have to rebuy the games. They're not like you just sign in with your account and re-download them.
The console owns the game and not the account.
Right. So so like even that. So what I was gonna say is I wonder if Nintendo has seen this happen, like seen people rebuy games, seen how like they clearly like to use more analog, less digital, less clouded systems. Now but yet with the Switch, as Tim just said, they're starting to go more cloud. They got some cloud saves, whatever. They have this online service subscription now. They're a little more modern. They have multiple accounts. You can amalgamate them or connect them, I think, whatever, right? The point of the matter is, I wonder if they're noticing, oh, hang on a minute. That means if somebody buys Mario whatever on the Switch 2, the Switch Pro, on the God knows whatever console they make in the future, people are going to expect that purchase there.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're pulling them now to say, oh, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll make sure that it never goes down in price, which Nintendo rarely does anyway. Make sure it never goes down in price, but we'll like keep they're trying something to still keep it with that Nintendo flair. Like I think they're at a point where they can't. I mean, they could, but they shouldn't do like this analog old, like, hey, buy the game again, buy the game again, buy the game again. But they're probably trying to like keep that in a way. So they're taking the game away to be like, oh, it's gone. Look, it's gone, guys. It's gone. You better buy it next time.
Yeah. Because like the Wii lined up kind of with the 360 when DLC was like a new thing. Mm-hmm. And like that was a fairly foreign concept when I first read about what a DLC pack is. And then like it's like, oh yeah, Nintendo lets you download stuff digitally. And like they got away with it there. And then the Wii U comes out alongside, the PS4 and the Xbox One. And it's like, oh, they let you buy games digitally, but it's still tied. It's tied to the account on the system, but it's not tied to the account on another system. So it's like if the Wii U was wiped or you deleted it, you could still go back and download it for that console. But if I bought another Wii U, and even though I'm logged in with the same account, I still have to buy that game again on that console. Mm-hmm. It wasn't tied to the account. And I think that was like their last time where they could reasonably get away with that. And then they kind of like woke up and said, okay, I think we need to figure out, we need to do something along the lines of what Microsoft and Sony does with their account systems. And maybe they just kind of figured, you know what, a subscription service works anyways. I would, because admittedly, like if there was a subscription service for playing those games and I could outright buy them on the Switch, I would still outright buy the games that I want on the Switch. I want to know that when I do cancel Nintendo Online, because realistically, I would never even have it to begin with, I don't want to lose access to those games. And if it makes sense financially for them to have me subscribe to it over buying it, I get it. They're a business. Just until then, I will continue to use my Wii U.
Yeah, you're just not their target demographic for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I can live with that. I'll play the new games on the Switch if I ever get one, but I'll stick with my Wii U for my classic stuff.
All right, thanks, folks, for listening. Tim is a stream machine.
I am.
At the twitch.tv/ that figures. You can catch him Monday through Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Pretty early, actually.
9:30-ish EST every morning. I don't typically stream on Fridays, but today I guess was an exception. But yeah, sometimes we feel like doing it. I've been playing a lot of Oblivion recently, so if open world RPGs are your thing, and Bethesda, etc., topical, come on by, have a good time.
And we stream on Wednesdays at twitch.tv/day1patchmedia around 8:30ish, probably 9.
And let us know if you pop in from the podcast. I'd be really interested to see if anybody if anybody does and who does.
For sure. All right, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.